Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey hi yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Uki Ebino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagi ktabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ugi Ebino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Peck Community College Uki Ebino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachia ya bino hey yo
Haumitakuipi, ke yushke wanchiankampi. Wak chinja wakpa, unspe wankantu ya dechi ya dayan ya hipido mitakipi, Elijah Hopkins and Makiapi. Hello, relatives, again. Welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast, streaming at you live from Fort Peck Community College. Thank you all for joining us today. want to thank Dekshi, Mr. Tommy Christian, for joining us again. Once again, he's in the house, dropping that Buffalo Chaser. We choke on knowledge. So relatives, we're at week 44 on August 5th, 2021. Before we get this onto our discussion here, I guess ask Dekshi if you'd share a prayer with us if you are able.
How tushka upila chichapelo. Daya chano ake na chante washte you ha. How mitake epi daya hippie. Wayawa omnichia hechana ushia ke na ha. Omakia what chikia ambetukile. Tukashila na wakantanka. Tateuya doba. Unchi makana makaina. Naku mitaki epi wanagi makpea kta. Ocho kaekta hiopo. Ushia ke mitaki epi na ha. Unchi makao mani wayazapi. Ushia ke mitaki epi unchi makao mani na ha. Chante yoksicho mani o wichaki apo ushi wichalapo. Tukashila na wakantanka. Kiksiapo mitaki epi winukchalapi wichakchalapi na wakaya japi. Ukshilapi winchinchalapi na koshkapi na koshkapi. Wichozani upi. Chanku ashte upi o wichakiapo ushi wichalapo. Ake na ha kiksiapo mitaki epi agichita oyate kizuya ekta. Wichasha bile na wiapile. Chanku ashte upi. Ampetu ashte upi. Tukashila na wakantanka. Oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani o wichakiapo ushi wichalapo. My grandfathers and my grandmothers, as we come to you on this day and ask you to continue to help us understand the importance of our purpose and dedication. We ask that you remember all of those that may be ill today and may be walking around with a sad heart and in a mournful way, that you watch over them and help them and guide them. We're also going to pray for all of the older folks and the older men and the older women that we hold dear to our hearts, as well as the little babies and the little boys, the little girls, the young adults and the young boys and young ladies that are just about becoming adults. We ask that you give them a good, healthy life and you help them understand the importance of that good road that they choose to walk on is a good thing. So we ask that you watch over them and guide them. Also, my grandfathers, for all of those that understand the importance of walking this red road, that you help them and guide them in a good way and always maintain that connection with them and help them go beyond that fear and help them to understand the importance of that clarity of mind and that strengthening of their soul and the goodness of their heart as they continue to aspire to good things throughout the day as they follow their purpose and their dedication. We also ask my grandfathers and my grandmothers that you watch over and look after all of those warriors, the men and the women that put themselves in harm's way for the sake of this freedom that we sometimes take for granted, but at times like this, we definitely appreciate because of what they do for us in faraway lands. And then we also ask for good blessings upon the families that they left behind, that as they continue with their heartfelt cries and their ceremonies and adjusting to the protocols so that their relatives can return from that war zone in a safe way, to help us understand the importance of these stories of survival that they share with us in a good way. We come on this day and ask that you continue to pity all of those returning students, all of the returning teachers and the administration, our president and our board, and all of those that support these efforts to help us understand the importance of this identity as we seek and we pursue a good way to look at life for the sake of our future and addressing this historical and cultural trauma that we tolerated throughout these years, but are beginning to understand the importance of the significance we need to address issues just like that through our mental health. We thank you, my grandfathers, for all those that support this way, what it is that we do, and we're going to be grateful for this opportunity that we spend time together. How hechetula wopilai chichiapelo, how mitake oasi, wamakashka oasi.
Oh, Pidama. Again, relatives, week 44 of the Buffalo Chasers podcast. Thank you again for joining us. And what we try to promote is mental health awareness through a discussion facilitated by Dekshi, Mr. Tommy Christian, and Earl Bullhead. Uncle Earl could not join us today, but next week, Doksha, next week, he'll be with us again. So, but also we are live streaming this on the Facebook feed through Fort Peck Community College. We want to encourage participation, and the way that you get your name in this weekly drawing that we try to do is just give us a like, a share, show us some Facebook love, and then there's a couple items we try to give out weekly, a Cho FPCC jacket, and then a Kindle Fire. So the winner of chicken dinner for that jacket for week 44 is none other than Miss Nicole Weston. We also have a Kindle Fire up for grabs, and the winner of that, based on all that Facebook love that they're showing us, is Jessica Salgado. Habla español. Habla Salgado. Salgado. The way you retrieve those items is stop over here at the War Eagle Vision on main campus here in Poplar, or give us a call, 406-768-6370, and we'll get your name and mailing address, and we'll mail those items out to you. So again, thank you for participating. Congratulations to Nicole and Jessica. We will announce next week's winners at the next following podcast. So that's how we encourage participation. So Dekshi, I don't know about you, but what should we cover today? It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good, but just some basic fundamental stuff, at the expense of sounding somewhat redundant in the manner in which we do things. I think it's important that we always try to follow up and last week's and connect them and get them together. And it sounds somewhat repetitive, but yet it helps us to realize the diversity that is there through that different manner of thought, the different manner in which we do things, even how we entertain ourselves is different. And to acknowledge that diversity that exists out there is, I think, provides us a clarity that we wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else, because it's not to where like on the Fort Peck Indian Reservation, we coexist with our non-Indian relatives, and we do a lot of things together, as well as separately. But at the same time, our hopes that for the future that our children will be able to come together in a good way and benefit not only themselves and their families, but actually their communities. And I think that's what's going to really help us understand the importance of bonding with one another, in spite of those differences that are sometimes are there. And I break it down to even the thinking pattern of the difference that's there. And I think that helps them to understand that just because we look at life from a different lens doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just different. And the sooner we are able to adapt to that diversity, then I think it's going to benefit the overall for the sake of our future. And so that diversity and that uniqueness that is represented by natural law will definitely become an enhancement and enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children. So kind of like that, and along those lines, I think that there's an opportunity based on this kind of a new age perspective, if you will, through podcasts, through Zoom meetings, through it's not just telephone calls no more. It's not just visiting at the powwow or at the meeting or at the store at Walmart. And it's kind of getting a little bit more down to sharing with some sense of keyboard courage, because they're not sitting right in front of you, so you could say just about anything and everything. But at the same time, it helps us to realize we need to really look inwardly and be a little bit more prudent in the manner in which we share, for the sake of respecting all. Okay, And that's something that as an Ayapaha, I just came from announcing a powwow over in Fort Belknap on the weekend, and I was helping a little guy, a young guy, Vince Short, to he is aspiring to become an announcer of powwows, and he come in there and he can talk well and stuff like that. But once he got behind the mic, he got scared. He couldn't talk. He couldn't say nothing. And then you start recognizing all of the particulars that is involved in co-facilitating that gathering, eh? Because we do have to be really prudent about how we say things, what we say, when we say them, just to keep the flow of that energy, if you will, to keep going and maintain it and kind of make it work for everybody that's in attendance. And so as we do these things, we realize that he realized at that time that there's a lot more work to this co-facilitation. I was announcing with Donovan Archambault Jr. We all know him as Beefy, but he's my nephew. And so he has training in facilitating meetings like drug and alcohol and stuff like that. So that helps him in that regard as well. And we sharing that information with Vince, and Vince was just kind of in awe. He didn't realize that there's a lot more to announcing powwow than just getting up there and being funny, if you will. And yeah, it kind of caught him off guard. That's why I mentioned that keyboard courage, because if you ever see Vince Short on YouTube, he's just goofier and heck, he says everything and does things and acts ignorant stuff. But it's different when you get in front of a whole lot of people. That's why I was talking about keyboard courage. And that reminded me when I seen him, and I kept telling him, get over your keyboard courage. Come on, bring it out now. Be you. No. He said, no. I said, hurry up. But we enticed him to take the mic a couple of times, and which he did. And he was just really jerky on his manner, and he didn't know what to say, how to say it. And we told him, just relax, be yourself, and just say what you want to say. Say anything. It's just, as long as it's not, you don't cuss. Best way we could explain it. But, you know, and in respects to that, that's what we were talking about last week. We were talking a little bit about powwow and the significance of powwow, and people don't really recognize some of the things that go on there. Like in a white man's sense, they call it facilitating the meeting, like you have a meeting. And like I said in my language of Wayama, Omenichia, the meeting of the students, and that's what I refer to this as. But again, it's a little bit more to it to take the control and the responsibility of sharing that respect and that dignity and that honor, so that we can maintain and sustain the integrity of who we are as a people. And to be representative of that, you almost have to be aware that everybody's watching you, especially if you're an announcer and you got the attention of everybody, because they listen to every word you say. And so you can't be teasing or joking and be off somewhere and on something else. You got to include everybody, very inclusive manner and style in which to talk and all that good stuff. But again, that's what I think is something we can accomplish, something we can look forward to, something that can help us understand that it's not just ourselves, it's not just our family, but we got to involve and include the community in our efforts. We've got to open our minds, and our worldview has got to go beyond just our own little house, our own little yard. It's got to come out and be at the post office and be at the store. Your worldview is going to open up more and more. And then the whole reservation, this whole state of Montana, the whole United States, and eventually your worldview will open up to the whole world. Makasit Omni, we say, which is representative of the world or the whole universe. But you got to develop a way to have a mindset, something like that, so that you're always aware of the differences that were there. Like my dad would tell me, if we were all the same, he said it would be so boring. So enjoy the difference that's out there. Enjoy that diversity that exists out there, because there's a purpose and there's a reason for it. And so we try to instill critical thought, that manner of taking on the initiative and that individuality, being yourself, like my dad said, and just kind of not being afraid. Kogi Pishni, when we say that, there's no fear. Don't be afraid. Kind of, that's what that term means. And oftentimes we lose sight that, like, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm not, but no. Don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid to live your life. Don't be afraid to let fear control you in the respects that it has in the past. Because again, when you see, they call us stoic, that's what that was referring to, is a stoic. When you see a stoic Indian, it's not that he's emotionless, but it's just that he has no fear. Okay, what's next? Let's do it. Let's do something. What you want to do now, or something like that along those lines. But again, it's that different thought process. It's that different thinking from one language to the next. And we met Elijah and myself met a girl yesterday that's speaks Spanish, and she lives in the Spanish community. And we was kind of checking her out like that. And very nice looking girl, by the way. But at the same time, she kind of looked like she was somewhat standoffish. She was one of our friends' girlfriends, and then we could recognize that that's because she didn't speak our language, and so it's probably something neutral. Well, you can apply that kind of sort of thing when you go into a new community, or you go amongst people that maybe aren't just like you. You got to be open and have no fear, and just present yourself accordingly with an indication of respect. And that's what, and that definition in that regard, it defines who we are as Dakota, Lakota, and Nakona people. That's our mindset. That's our intention. That's why when we speak our language, there's no sarcasm, and it's a language of respect, kind of like that. But just kind of address those things. I don't know, Tushka, did you have anything that you'd like to mention about, like, I know Earl's coming up. I just got off the phone with him. He was over in Bismarck. He had to go and take care of his vehicle, and that's a loaner to him because he's got his car in the garage. His insurance supposed to be fixing it up because he hit a deer the other day. But he's on his way back from Fort Totten, and otherwise he'd be here. But I know he's coming next week in person. All just could touch him. Right? Do you want to touch him? Kind of sort of a guy thing. But he'll be here amongst us, and he's going to do that drum making stuff. And then after that, well, he's going to help us understand the importance of the drumsticks, how to make those and stuff. And we're going to utilize that. And we're probably on Wednesday going to kind of get all that stuff documented. We're going to, one of our buddies is going to come and video it for us. And we're going to try to have that into a kind of a learning thing as we go, and kind of like that. I know that Gumdrops did that quill making thing yesterday and today, right?
No, that was, she finished up yesterday. We hosted a quilling workshop. Gumdrops, aka Miss Laverne, our relative Laverne White Bear, facilitated a 2-day workshop. So there was about 12 Wias, all different stages of life that were there, and they were sharing with one another. So it was really cool to watch. There's like 4 different types of stitching, but it was really cool to watch these ladies get together and share and visit and do something really healthy. And so we want to promote that. So that was one of 4 cultural workshops, hands-on, face-to-face workshops that we're going to be doing. And like you were saying, Dixie Earl will be here Tuesday and Thursday. He's going to show us how to make these things right here.
Oh.
In fact, he made this one for us here.
Yeah.
A few months back. So we have all the stuff that's going to be ready. We have registration is still open. Just look us up on the Facebook or send me an email, ehopkins@fpcc.edu. We have a few more slots open. So doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, teenagers, whatever, just come and join us. We'll feed you up. You can visit Earl, man. That guy can, I'm sure Tommy will be there, or at least stop in and out or whatever. We'll be scoring on each other, telling jokes, but they'll keep it clean if there's Wias in the house. So,
yeah. But
it's always fun. So I think he'll even be here Thursday. Huh? So Tuesday, Wednesday. We have some ceremonial things he's going to help out with.
On Thursday.
And then maybe if there's time, maybe we'll do like three of us in this very room on the podcast, man. So that'll be kind of cool. So definitely take advantage of that. But I just wanted to throw that one out there. But I don't have anything specific to talk about other than registration's open for fall semesters right around the corner, August 30th. We got a lot of cool things planned. Definitely be podcasting, virtual talking circles. So for those of you, there was a lot of student interest, not just in the podcast last year, but we would, talk about whatever issue during the podcast, and some of that would translate over to more confidential, private talking circles, specific for our students. We know that isn't recorded. It's not put on Facebook Live or anything, but it wasn't meant to be all the press or anything like that. But it was just like a place for students to come and visit and share with each other and vent. And and
it was on Friday, but it doesn't have to be that day. Any day the students would like, that's convenient for them and their schedule, we can work it. So the more people we can get involved in that, the better. Because Nora and myself usually facilitate that, and Nora always brings up some good discussions. And the reason why she acts like that, she's from New York.
New York. Yeah. So she has an interesting perspective on stuff, and it definitely brings it. That's that diversity that you're talking about. I really like visiting with her as well.
Yeah, she's married to my nephew Eddie, and Ed works over there at the Chante program, and so she works over here. But that's why she's different. And but she's good. She's well intended. She has a very good heart on her, and she's gonna bring some of that diversity right amongst us, and we'll deal with it accordingly.
And then yesterday I was walking over my office here. Art Canchel was over there. He's joking around. We're walking over there. Then I seen a former council member driving down and stopped and said hi or whatever. But they're talking about how there's this old building right across from us over here. I thought it might be a good idea at some point, since he must kind of watch us. He doesn't comment, so he's not in the drawing. But he was talking about how, just for the sake of discussion, because we cover a lot of different areas, some of it could be historical, right? So like the history of Fort Peck tribes, there's a lot of interest. For people that lived here their whole lives, they might not know some of these things, but he wanted to share maybe like a DVD with us about early reservation era here, and then how this block here where we have on the main campus here is on the historical record. I think the national,
like a garrison or something.
And like one of the original Camp Poplar is like right over here, this building.
And
I was like, he was kind of talking about, I was like, well, now I kind of got to watch that DVD just because there's so much rich history here. And then that we have so many other tribal members here that have so much knowledge and family history and the documented history. There was a book published, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago
by Dr. James Shannon.
There's multiple authors like David Miller, Joe McGeeshick, talking about some of those. I think that would be really interesting at some point. Maybe we could either have a separate podcast thing, kind of like we did those guest speakers, or we could do right on the Buffalo Chase podcast, but we could get individuals like Dr. Jim Shanley. Because I think he doesn't go winter till about October, because then arthritis, he heads down south and has his Arizona home. But get someone in here like that, we could add to the discussion. That's for sure. But and you were talking about this National Geographic guy. Neil, he's pretty cool. I just met him that one time here yesterday. But for reals, does National Geographic videoing is what Galbadoa.
He travels all over the world.
And so I was like, I kind of like nerding out on some of this video editing, post-production stuff. So he kind of share some things, do it completely for free, but kind of give us that professional touch. Because we wanted, we always talk about archiving some of our work here. President Gorneau she's a fan of what we're trying to do. She's supporting our vision. So I really appreciate
initiated me being here. So
approached actually Tommy in a good way, and then when the WIA asked him, his heart melted, man, and he said, okay, and then I'll go up there. And so yeah, we got him on now, and then and supporting kind of this vision that we talked about, and then we got some grant dollars. So we have some things lined up, but we just got to like meld them, put them together. It takes manpower, it takes time, it takes cohesion of work. And so I think individuals like Neil, I don't know how you say his last name.
Jelanis.
We charged Neil Jelanis. He'll be maybe part of this, probably more behind the scenes, but we can ideally we'd have our own website too.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube's cool. We can archive stuff, but we can have our own website dedicated to podcasting things, the land-based stuff, and we're in it to win it.
Hey,
okay, in it to win.
We can do it.
We can do it, providing that platform, and that way it's an open book. Because it'll be many hours of footage, and
oh man,
and Neil give us that National Geographic feel, that look, that quality, that professional touch to some of our videos. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
You know that if you really think about it, Toshka, that really is representative of a department. You know, not that I'm, but you know, just establishing something with some legitimacy as it relates to the college, and they could refine it to where it's a little bit more academically kind of influenced as opposed to just being an archive. You know what I mean? And utilize just what you're saying. All the references and resources we have here, we could utilize it and put it into a department. So even for people that are going across Highway 2 and just want to stop and see, they can stop into our department and they could learn a little bit about the Nakota and Lakota people that are here. And we also have a lot of Chippewas, a lot of Cree people that live here as well. And it can see that it's a reservation. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah,
Sagada.
Yeah. You know, I was talking with Chie Earl Nietzsche, and he was saying, brother, do you know where that word Sagada comes from? I said, no. He said, it comes from Shah Ogale. I said, Shah Ogale. I said, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Sagada, Shagada. Yeah, Shaga Ogale. And that means red coat. And when you translate, it's red coat. And that reference of red coat is French. Okay, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, a lot of our, growing up, a lot of our people use Sagada as a derogatory term, but it's not. It's just sharing that difference that those Indians are part French. Sagada, that's what that means. Shah Ogale, Shah Ogale, you know, the Shagada. Yeah. So, and then it makes sense to you. And so, in that descriptive way of speaking, red coat, eh? And so they were half Indian and half red coat.
Oh,
makes sense.
Yeah. Like Sakna, heard that one too.
Sakna, yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. And I think we can change perceptions on not having it be something that's just historical only. It's not just in the book. We can we're modernizing things. Things are still going on. There's still access points for people that are interested or they're willing and or able. They can come to campus. We can link them up with individuals, and you can participate through experiential learning, land-based teachings. In part, that's why I really like getting individuals like Earl to facilitate workshops in open, non-threatening environments that are drug and alcohol free. And then all of our students, regardless of where you're at, if you want to, you can join us. And that one's not a class, it's just a workshop. So you can just show up, hang out. In fact, we have one of our hardcore students that is an online student way over by Idaho, up in the mountains over there, driving all the way over here just for this workshop, bringing her kids. So she's really excited. So she's never been to the res before. So she's really excited. So watch out. Might even give her an Indian name and send her back.
Yeah. And again, you know that, but you think about it, we're on a reservation, right? So who do you think should be accentuated? The Indians. But I see in the past, it's all about governmental stuff and all this other. Well, I think we could necessarily bring forward like our value system, the way we live, the way we choose to live, how we look at things, and all that good stuff could go into that department, the representation of our teepees and our hogans and all that good stuff, and some of the artifacts that we make, some of the beautiful things that are made. And in our culture, when you first learn something like Gumdrops was doing that quill work stuff, yeah, and when the first thing you make that like in the quill work, the first thing that they make in our way, they give it away. I don't care what it is, what it may be, you give it away. And then you make another one if that's what you want. But the first thing you make, you give it away. You see? And there's a purpose in that. That's to help you exercise that virtue of generosity, but at the same time, help you understand that first one you made is kind of really therapeutic in a sense, if you could apply it like that, eh? And it addresses the discipline it takes to really do a lot of our artwork. It takes a lot of patience and I guess understanding of that quill come from something that was alive at one time, so some compassion is needed there. And then but also to clean the quills, to go and get the quills and bring them and harvest them, if you will, off of a porcupine. Does the porcupine need to be dead? Not necessarily, because I talked to old Wilson Jackson, or not to him, but his wife, and she said, we used to go out and get quills. She said, I used to roll up one of those rugs and kind of wrap it, tie it together, and so it was round. And then my husband had a stick that was forked on top and forked on the bottom, but it was long enough to fit under his arm. We'd go get a porcupine, and he'd take that bottom fork and put it right behind the porcupine's head on his neck. And then he'd take that rolled up carpet and hit the porcupine on the bum and on the tail. And that's how they got all of their...
Pulled them right out of there. Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And then they'd let the porcupine go. You see? So you didn't necessarily have to kill the porcupine to access that's why it's called it harvesting. And then the porcupine hair, which we use for roaches, she would at the same time pull the hair out, eh? You see how that works? And so very respectful the way when life was very slow, how they would do things, eh? And so that's just a and that's real. That there's no embellishment, the truth on how they used it. That was real, because I knew Wilson Jackson, I knew his wife Elmira, and I used to go visit her quite often, and she would share a lot of these things with me, and she would share those old stories, and so those are real stories. So it's not something that, it's not a myth that, oh, they did it like it. No, it's real, because nowadays this is how a lot of these people, I know Elmira used to be very crafty, and Wilson used to make craft work and stuff like that as well, and they'd sell it, and so they could get their staples, coffee, flour, yeast, and stuff like that, so they could eat.
Cool. Yeah. And then there's a lot of roadkill. Some people say they pull over and they being a good native, don't let anything go to waste. And then that was one way. And then that reminds me, I remember one time I was going down to I was in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Then we went over to visit some relatives someplace, and we went over to Texas, Amarillo, went up Oklahoma, and then I'd see all these things on the side of the roadkill.
Yeah.
Looked like kind of like porcupine, but guess what they were? Armadillos. Gabbado. And I was like, oh, first time I seen armadillo at roadkill. But anyways, there's a lot of cool things that we do like that, and those type of stories. I remember Earl, that reminded me listening to now it's almost kind of like a joke. We talk to our kids, Abu baby time, Abu, and then to kind of mess with them a little bit, but I remember the old grandmas, that's what they would sing, to soothe the babies. Yeah. And when you said that, it reminded me of that story Earl was sharing with us about the origin of where that song or that melody comes from.
Yeah, the porcupine.
The porcupine. Yeah. So maybe he can share that one in more detail, or whoever. But I think that was things like that kind of tie into our culture and that would be even something cool to share for that cooling workshop. But yeah, many things we could cover for sure.
Yeah, you see, and that's what I'm saying is like we're on a reservation. Should be acknowledging or accentuating our Indian thing first and foremost. I would think not it to become a racist thing, but just to kind of get along in there and take our place as well in that representation. Understand the importance of the community, where we can become proud Poplar Indians again. Poplar Indians is not a mascot thing. It's a real honorable name that the Poplar Indians carry, because we're on a reservation. And so when we can help people understand that collaborative effort and all those, that cooperation that goes on here within our reservation, because it's incorporated with municipalities and townships or cities, then they can understand. Because I know it's kind of a shock when my Canadian relatives come from Canada, because on their reserves, it's all Indian. No trust, no fee land on their reserves. Whatever their boundaries is, whatever is inside that boundary, it's all Indian land. But when they come down here, they say, Tommy, is Wolf Point on your reservation? I say, yeah. How come? Because they'd never seen white people on a reserve before, you see?
Not just passing through, but living.
Yeah, but living and existing and having businesses. And so then I have to explain to them the Marshall trilogies, Homestead Act, Allotment Act, Dawes Act, sort of a thing. And how that, I hate to say the word invaded, but incorporated this non-Indian perspective on within our exterior boundaries of the reserve. And so they find it kind of awkward that we live together like that. But at the same time, they realize, well, there's some strength in that as well, because we're not being left behind. Not that Canadians are left behind, but they stay hooked up. But they have control over all their land within their exterior boundaries. But again, that's a different perspective. That's why I think this college could become that catalyst to that whole value system, representing the Nakona, the Dakota, and the Lakota, and having a place for them to come just to exactly experience that collective in a place where they can get together and see that we all live together and we get along together in spite of Tule Creek. That attitude that's there, You know it exists, I know it exists, but it's an understood thing. See, that does not have to be like that. And so we can always take it upon ourselves, in spite of our diversity, that even in ceremony and language, we can still come together. And I think we need to express that more. And what better place to do it than our college? Because we do have a campus in Wolf Point as well.
2 campuses, baby.
Yeah.
Main campus, they say, main campus here in Poplar, because we're most of administrative buildings here. Most of our physical layout is here, but we have a smaller satellite campus in Wolf Point. So that's where we're able to definitely reach out to our students on the other side of Tule. And then you bring up a good point there. So like with our discussion on cognitive dissidence or cultural dissidence. This is our students' opportunity to expand their horizons, whatever preconceived notions you might have about the college or culture. I think through discussions like this in a potential developed department, and whether it's NAS or whatever, a variant of whatever they want to call it, but it's really kind of dedicated to those types of things and really modernized. I think when you tie that in with like internships to like food sovereignty, all different types of areas that students could tie into this Buffalo Chaser Society model, it'll I think it's something that's needed and something that we'll definitely get more traction.
Yeah, and it'll help us sustain not only our value system, but also our diet. We can really promote the importance of the lean meat that buffalo would provide for us, And that's where they're really trying to get the diabetics to eat a lot more buffalo, because it is so lean.
Yeah, we got those pure.
And then the berries, the June berries that we have, the choke cherries we have, the bullberries we have, and we have plums here as well. we could really promote our
Turnips,
diet.
yeah.
Yeah, turnips, a healthy way of life, without having to grow it. It's already here, and we should just be able to take that and run with it from potentially, or maybe, or could be wishful thinking on my part, a department.
Oh, heck yeah. There's even some Sisitoans here,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
And you know what they
lots.
like? All that
Emia.
fish. Heck
Emia,
yeah. Have me a do.
Ogayuta.
Ota. So those types of things. In fact, my wife the other day was trying to figure out how she could partner possibly with the college, with some internships to do some food sovereignty work with the food program, the cultural, they have I forget the name of it, but there's basically a organic department for under the community services where they're able to do grow some food, traditional foods, and then get it off to the elders first.
Yeah.
And then, but sometimes when these programs, in their infancy stages, they're funded, and but they sometimes don't have the manpower around here, man.
Yeah.
But I think we collab, the Buffalo Chasers, we could collab with some of these other partners in our community. And so I think there's opportunities for students that are interested to do something like that. Because maybe you want to jam with Dexy Earl, right?
Yeah.
We could do some things. We could line you up with
exercise
and get out, and you could
exercise and diet. Exercising, that's the best medicine for diabetics.
And I noticed last month I was digging some turnips. Went to my double secret Juneberry spot with the wife. Took my kids. We just get them out.
Your hiding place.
My hiding place. And turn my cell phone off. I ain't answering those messages. But I'd walk out there, and then you forget the little things like that are out in the 80, 90 degree heat. You can get up really early, get out there and walk. But it's actually, it's good for you. It's good for you. Kind of, we're stuck inside a lot. And my kids really like it. They're sitting there, they get little cockleburs and bit up by mosquitoes and ticks and everything. But that's all part of it, and it's good for them to get out. So for sure.
That throwing of the ball, I talked about a little bit. That's and Earl explained it a little bit. It was made out of buffalo hair. It was a ball that they throw it, and it's a game. And they would wrap it in rawhide. And when the little kids got it, the little babies, because they were part of it too, when they got the ball, they got to chew on it. And because they kick it on the dirt and everything else, but the little kids get it and they chew on the ball. And they let them, and the kids needed to do that because that helps them to develop a strong immune system. You see, and the little kids, as much as we want to protect them and not let them get sick, they have to get sick, you see. And so in that process, the throwing of the ball was a part of that. And it has nothing to do with sanitary or anything like that. It has a lot to do with just understanding there's these things that you take, your body will develop itself to protect it from things like that. So that if they really pursued some of the things that we did, there was always a purpose and a reason for it. And it had nothing to do with an individual acknowledging somebody's the champion or somebody's this, that, or the other. But it was more towards it's good for everybody sort of a thing. Are we still there, Tushka?
Our audio is here, but our video feed, we might have to switch it up to.
Oh no, you're there. You're talking. You lost me. That's from your laptop.
Yeah,
No, I'm in there. That's good. That's good. No, but what I was saying, that whole aspect, or that if you stop and you think about, and that's what I'd like to see kind of more brought about to the front, is our culture in that diversity. There's a purpose and a foundation for everything. There's always a way to address these things, and not in an individualism sort of an attitude, but one of individuality where it can really work. It's good for everybody, sort of an attitude. It's not just good for me. And then in that process, you understand the importance of belonging to something or someone. And again, like we spoke a little bit about Neil Jelenas, he's from South Carolina or Virginia or somewhere over there, but he's amongst us and he's welcome. we didn't know the guy before, but he come in a respectful way with a good heart, and he wanted to be helpful, and so he was accepted. And we tease him about being a white guy all the time. He catches all the heck for all the white people, but again, that's in our way, that's a joke. We're joking, we're teasing about it because it's not meant to be malicious. It's meant to be inclusive. When they tease you, they include you, kind of sort of a thing. So if they tease you, they're including you. So then we tease a lot about various things, but again, that to be a part of that group, that tribalistic perspective is it really generates a lot of good opportunities. That there's strength in numbers as it relates to how we do things, why we do them. We were very nomadic people at one time, and it's kind of in our blood and whatnot. It's not really aspiring to accessing money or material, but more being good to one another and making relatives, kind of like that. But it's something that we need to really help us understand. That's the catalyst that we talk about. Oh man, to come in here, hit the ground running. We wanted to do this all summer long. We want to do that, didn't really get to do it too much of any of it. Couldn't even get sage because there's a drought here in the sage. But we did get some. We did get some. And there's a drought up here, and we didn't get to do that. We had 2 lodges that went on, one on the Assiniboine side and one on the Sioux side. They went on, and everything went well, and we supported them as well as we could. And then, of course, we support our local ENEP down here. That helps. They help us out. Dylan helps us out quite a bit. And then now we're going to go into these little things like what Gumdrops did for us, and then we're going to have the drum making, and then the bow making. Jeremy's going to come and do that as well, right?
October Gabado.
Okay. And so these little things are going to go on, but all of that is going to be beneficial, not only for the individual, but that representation of you went beyond that fear. You're not afraid. You don't believe in the superstition that's there. You're Woichaki Obo Mani. You're walking with the truth, and you come here in a good way to help out. That's why I use Neil as an example. But there's so many people like that individual that is good-hearted, that are more than welcome to our ceremonies and such. And like I don't know how Dave is doing now, but he wasn't doing very well here lately. But Elijah mentioned his name, Dave Miller, pure D white guy. But he'd sit right at the hide. He'd sing Sundance songs. He'd help out. He'd do anything. He was a historian, and kind of understood the importance of that historical value of some of these things that occurred, and he carried that. He went from here. He lived up in Regina, worked at the college in Regina, and carried a doctorate in that historical stuff. And he had a lot of information to share. But geez, a couple of months ago, I heard he got sick. He had a stroke or something. I hope he's still amongst us, but haven't heard anything lately. So no news is good news, the way I guess. But David Miller was another one like that. He just took it upon himself that, hey, I'm going to come and help out. And if you want me to or not, I'm still going to help you. Kind of like that. Remember that?
Yeah. In fact, I was just, because I've been working remotely, so I'm back in the office now, and then we're able to do this podcast like this physically here. So hopefully it's kind of a mainstay, and this Delta variant is just, we got it under control here, but we're all vaccinated up, so it's all good. But the librarian, she was telling me about Dave Miller, and he had a collection. He had quite the collection. That a lot of it wasn't even necessarily released anywhere, but in his estate, everything that he wrote down that said what he wanted was all of the information that he compiled. He wanted to go to Fort Peck here to the college.
Right on.
So it's going to be coming. It's in process right now. It's not going to go to Smithsonian and all this stuff. It's going to go right back here because he had he spent summers down here. In fact, when I was talking with Tui Bear Cub.
Oh, Johnny, yeah.
That's what she brought that up. He said she actually facilitated him coming down here and introduced him not just the Assiniboines here, but the Assiniboines over in the relatives in Belknap and up in the Kettle. Yeah. So that was Ahana. Well, for me, it was Ahana. It was
he became a pretty renowned fella.
Yeah. And so then he's got all kinds of stuff. So could you imagine all the stuff he's got? So that'll be interesting. But that's for all you guys, and maybe we could share some of that. Naturally visit with individuals like yourself to see what's keep above board. We want to be stingy with things, but also be respectful of
be
content.
mindful of that. Yeah.
And then, so yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the fold here. Oh, looks like we're tick-tock, 3:55. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, Galbado. But yeah, I think we've had a good, healthy discussion again. Anything else you want to share before we?
Well, no, just that, I've been busy for the last couple of weeks, even to the point to where they didn't know if I worked here or not, but I was doing other things, kind of coordinating these
land-based,
land-based stuff. But we're going to try to stay in the office at some point in time and let people know where we're at. But I did let them know where I was at. They knew they could call me anytime and I'd come back. But stuff like that we really want to get some consistency, some foundation, something substantive to who we are as a people, and that representation of Nakona Dakota. Like me, I'm a DNL, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota, and I shared that little story with you last time. But I can represent both, all three in a good way and to some degree. But if you want to get a little bit more into it, I could refer you to individuals that do carry the specifics in regards to that and all that. But this is what I think we can do here is there's lots and lots of people. Boy, the inquiries I get just walking down the street from people that are so interested in stuff like this, it amazes me, but we have no place to refer them to. But think about that, just a thought. And so there's definitely an opportunity for us to evolve into something that's really going to let the college itself become the catalyst. And what better place? Because then we can always remain apolitical. That's the key. That's the important thing. Apolitical and apersonal, and just a really a loving experience for all that are involved or all that want to participate, or even get information as it relates to who and what they are, as it relates to their linealcy, their legacy, and historically how this was all established. And Jim went through all that, but we can really kind of help you get in the right direction if you want to pursue something like that. So I think hopefully it'll turn out to be a good thing. Oh, and again, that's all I got to say. I got to go to the Wolf Point office and take care of some stuff over there, but it's Thursday, so Doksha ke mitake pi doksha ke wache genkte. Oh, mitake wase.
Oh, doksha ke petuaste yo apomda.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya ya hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College uki ebilo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo what